We don't have the evidence in this case to know for sure whether or not Summer was abducted or whether or not she walked away from her home and became lost. It's really important to us to not focus all of our efforts on just one of those two. We think that the only way we'll be successful in finding Summer is to continue to walk down both of those investigative paths to ensure that we don't become focused on one area alone and miss something that's crucially important. Many people have speculated what they think has happened in this case. The difficult part of speculation is that if we as investigators speculate and focus our efforts in one direction, we're making a huge mistake. We have to make sure that we're being completely comprehensive as we investigate, and being focused in one direction is a tragedy for an investigation. So until we find evidence that points us in a direction that we know is the right direction, we'll continue to be comprehensive. We'll continue to explore every option that can be out there, and we would continue to ask for the public's help in doing so.
Damn, killer. It's so good.
What's up, my people? Clock in, clock in. I'm Killer from the Killer List channel. I'd like to welcome all of y'all to Brother School today. We'll process some data. We'll talk about some stuff. Might work out a couple of theories. See where we get at. Summer Wells was a 5-year-old reported missing from the Hawkins County region of Rogersville, Tennessee on June 15, 2021. No one knows what happened to her. There's never been any trace or evidence of her since. Like she just vanished in the thin air. Summer went missing in the Ben Hill Hollow of the Beach Creek area. Located at the foothills of Chimney Top Mountain, Ben Hill is notorious for crime. From shootouts to drugs, from thieves to prostitution. You name it, Ben Hill known to got it. The locals in the area describe Ben Hill as a trading post for all illegal activity. But society's outlaws went for a good time. People who lived on Ben Hill seem to operate or take part in this function, each seemingly to have their own illegal business operating separately. Although it's most likely that each operation was like a cog in a much bigger wheel that is ran by what the people of Ben Hill call what they call the uppers. This recent statement had my head rolling on the floor just to pick that mug back up again.
I know you didn't listen as hard to your interview or your phone call with Fred as I did. I know I listened to it again. I've listened to it so hard. Did you hear what he says? He says, Laurel Run Park. That's where it first started at. Did you hear that where he said that's where it first started at? What the hell did he mean by that's where it first started at? Like how, like it first started? There was something that started that day. That's where it first started at? That was a weird comment he made. First I want to zoom in and I want to talk about the scent trail. So the scent trail comes back here over back behind the bus and stuff. So a lot of people were thinking this dog trail they were talking about came back behind the bus and came out on this side over here. But it actually goes down, crosses the driveway, loops around here, and it comes out down here a little bit further down. And that's what Cam was from Cracking Cases, when he was there, he was trying to explain that the scent trail actually comes down and comes out on the other side of the driveway. So it is a little bit hard to understand when Don was talking about it, and I'm not sure if he was as sure of where the location was, but this was the location that was kind of confirmed. Was it came out back behind this van, the red van that's sitting right there in the driveway. There's lots of videos and pictures. Even on the search day it was there. It's a not running van, but the one that everyone sees her in videos inside a red conversion van, that's this van that's parked right here. That's broken down. But the scent trail goes back behind that, and over like right here is an old swing set.
What I was told was that the last place they seen Summer was at the swing set.
So the scent trail comes down here, crosses the driveway, comes back out, and comes down here.
They tracked the scent to the left of the driveway down to Ben Hill. It wasn't down the driveway. It's almost like
it would have been down the direction that she would go.
On her own. It's almost like intentionally avoiding the driveway. Someone would have had to know there's a bell across the driveway. Mm-hmm. It would have to be avoiding the driveway intentionally. Because
they had like posts up or they had a post up that was on one side of the driveway. On the coming up the driveway would have been on the left. You would have to know it was there. So a lot of people say, well, the scent ends at the end of the driveway.
Did dogs follow Summer's scent down the trail to the main road? The sheriff says yes.
The dogs had a pretty good trail, a track for a little while, but then it disappeared. But they lost scent when they come to the road. And sometimes canines, they will lose the scent when it changes to different type, whether it maybe went from the gravel to the pavement.
Don Wells is one who says it too. The scent ends at the end of the driveway. So that means somebody must have picked her up at the end of the driveway right here. Well, because it ends here, doesn't mean she didn't walk back up and retrace her steps and go back up the driveway. I think she ended up walking back up from the road and cutting through and getting into this creek right here, this limestone branch. Because right near this branch is where her scent ends. I just thought that was really interesting because the two places where the scent dogs hit the strongest were at the Wells driveway in that area where that creek starts.
Like, I know they would go down to the creek beside of Ben Hill Road, like before they get their driveway. There was a creek that run through there, and the kids would be found down there sometimes. Like, they wandered, but they knew that property better than anybody. Them kids did.
Summer's scent trail was lost at the end of the driveway or dog trail area, suggesting to many that she was put into a vehicle and driven away. But this is where it gets interesting, because her scent doesn't leave Ben Hill, it enters it.
And then the reason why I think she got in this branch, it's a trail that goes straight through. If she follows it, takes her exactly to where her next scent hits.
The next scent hit was more towards the centre of Ben Hill, near a private property bridge. What's significant is that the scent doesn't stray off. It follows a defined path, suggesting either purposeful movement or transport.
Right there, right at that bridge where that creek is.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, it's strange. I think she walked up that creek. I think she was playing and walked up that creek is what I think.
You know what's another weird thing? Because Jody Sue mentioned something about what didn't she talk? She talked about going to the creek.
Yeah, she walked up the creek too.
Wasn't she trying to wash her scent off? Didn't she? I don't know.
She said she walked up the creek so the dogs wouldn't follow her scent or something like that. She wouldn't mess the scent up. But it's kind of weird how the scent goes up her creek.
So I'm wearing sandals, and I know the best thing I can do is get into the water. So I step into the creek. Because from there I can keep tracks down Because when you live in areas like ours, you know, worst case scenario. You also know what happens if somebody can't be found. And you know that staying in the water keeps scent down for dogs. If they have to be brought in. So, also it's a good way to check, even though, yeah, but with your feet on what's in the bottom and deepest spots.
And you'll see around this corner, it's right here. And that's at Fred Hill's driveway. This is where her scent was again. At the 207 Ben Hill Road property, which is where Fred Hill and Laura White were living. The other two people that were on the property were Chad Arnold, who was seen by Candace, and Chad Arnold admits seeing Candace also that day. Fred Hill says Chad Arnold was there.
The most direct reported sighting place is Candace at Fred Hill's driveway searching for Summer, and she sees a man. Chad Arnold. This man is rumoured to have seen Candace coming down Fred's driveway searching for Summer, but Chad has never confirmed this himself. You see, in the shadows of Beach Creek, few figures are whispered about quite like Chad Arnold.
Exactly.
Who's been interrogated 6 or 7 times?
Chad.
Arnold?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know by whom?
Cops.
I know, but
no, I don't know if it was Ronnie or it was Hawkins County, but I don't know if it was Ronnie or Pruitt or whoever.
A close friend of Fred Hill, Chad's connection to the Holler runs deep and dark. His own brother, Jason Arnold, Fred's best friend, died under mysterious circumstances. A year after his body was found, his skull surfaced in his own yard, unsettling even the most hardened locals.
Jason Arnold is Chad Arnold's brother. Chad Arnold is the man that was seen on Ben Hill Road that day. You know Jason and Chad, you've known him for 20 years. Can you tell us what you know then about when Jason Arnold went up and shot up Alan Ajon's property in Churchill on Goshen Road? Did you hear of that?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Now, how likely is it that Dudley only knew one person on Ben Hill? What about what happened with him and Don? When Dudley was fired and claimed Don did not pay him for 3 days of work.
Travis Mannis ends up at the house with Jason and Chad Arnold when they were young teenagers growing up. He grew up with them. And what makes this interesting is who Travis Mannis is. Travis Mannis is the father of Heather Lawson's kids, and that's Cindy Simpson's daughter,
which is Roy Simpson's wife.
Candace said she saw another unknown person up there, so that we're going to theorize that the other person was Cotton Simpson. When Ricky Crawford and Celesta and all of them got arrested, how the person that was arrested with them was Jimmy Wallen Jr. And the Jimmy Wallen Jr. is the son of James Wallen, who's the brother of Randy Wallen, Brenda Wallen's husband, the ones that live next door to Roy Simpson. Brenda Wallen is the house right next door to Roy's on Mountain View.
Wow. So that brings Crawfords. Yeah. That brings the Crawfords and let's see, that brings us all together, like.
Yeah, it brings it all back together again.
For the most part, everybody down in here are really good people. They're honest people, but I can't say the same for Ricky, Marlena, or Fred Hill.
So Chad Arnold, would you put him in that circle of bad eggs?
Of bad eggs? No, not when it comes to the situation with Summer.
Brandon, the guy that's on the motorcycle that was in JLR's video, is Chad Arnold's stepson.
Well, the craziest thing, so I started pulling up asset records. So that Jimmy Wallen, who was arrested with Ricky Crawford and Celesta Crawford in that meth bust, when his dad passed away, and when his dad passed away, he received a Nissan Xterra and a Toyota truck that belonged to his dad. So, you know, people who said there's like no connection to Roy Simpson, there's a lot of connection to Roy Simpson on every end, on with the Crawfords, with the Wallens, the arrest that was just made in that meth bus.
Everybody's a suspect! Fred Hill was arrested yesterday. So, custody status date as of June 13th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So he was booked in at 4:41 p.m. Eastern, Hawkins County Jail. That's his mugshot.
Today marks 2 years since a little girl in Tennessee vanished from her rural home. Her name is Summer Wells. Sheriff declined an interview in the case. He did email us, though, saying he expects an update on the case in the near future.
He expects an update on the case in the near future.
Hey. Okay, cool.
And they more likely find her.
Fred Hill was arrested for running a meth house, but he's on this jailhouse call talking about Summer Wells and where her body can be found.
The other person that you...
No, it was Cotton Simpson.
And he implicates this guy named Cotton Simpson, who's dead.
It's something I just found out myself that I was questioned about, and I'm trying to go to a cave. There's a hidden department in behind it. Where they're trying to say her body is. They know I ain't got nothing to do with it either. As far as the case, I mean, I'm 100% clear.
Cotton Simpson was said to be on Ben Hill the day Summer went missing.
Well, they found him dead in the cave.
So you've known since at least February then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And real quick before we get cut off, what's going on? Anything you need me to say? Telling anybody?
I just think hopefully to try to get lawyers to send some money to you so you can move it to them accounts. They got all my stuff locked down. Said I was under investigation over 2 murders.
What? You're under investigation under 2 murders?
That's what they're trying to say.
What the fuck?
I don't know what they're even talking about.
It starts with Jason Arnold, and then Mindy Arnold, and then Peggy Hundley, and then it ends up with Brenda Simpson, and then Martha Simpson, the mom, and then it ends up with Roy Simpson, and then it ends up with Crawford's.
Really?
Yeah, it keeps this van. It moves through all of them, and I'm kind of
So
thinking
they all definitely know each other then.
they all know each other. So there is another waterway, like a little creek, that runs down off of this hill here, goes underneath his driveway. So that we're going to theorize that the other person was Cotton Simpson. So there is another waterway, like a little creek, that runs down off of this hill here, goes underneath his driveway. We can kind of follow the trail. What Fred said is it starts at like the bridge area and then goes up his driveway to where these old cars are up here. This was where it ended.
Was Fred very familiar with this particular area?
Oh yeah, he grew up over there. And there's a path worn out between his house and mine, or was at that time.
Which, if Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were here on Fred Hill's property at the time Fred and Laura had left and went to the vehicle disposal, she could have met up with them. Because the one thing we do know is Chad Arnold was on the hill with somebody else, and Fred's saying now it was Roy Simpson. And when Candace went up there still searching for Summer, Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were still up there. But by the time law enforcement got there, Chad Arnold and Roy Simpson were gone. What we don't know is where they went, but if they had Summer, we can kind of follow the trail. At this point, she would have been put in a vehicle.
The cluster of multiple scents in this area, in criminal intelligence, is extremely important. That's a hot zone, a place where scent accumulates or renews, often meaning the child or the object carrying the scent paused, was transferred or handed off. We can see a direct line or path of travel in these scents when zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. If Summer had just wandered off, you would think these scents would be more erratic, but they follow a certain line of travel, pointing to a defined path or direction.
The next location where the scent hits again, zoom out a little bit, is over here off of Simpson Road. This back side over here, there's like a little dirt road right here, and this is where footprints and her scent were found. The other location was up here. Law enforcement told Dawn it was an unfinished cabin, and there was footprints and her scent was hit on up here.
The footprints, okay, if you go out on Ben Hill Road and you go west, so you go past our property all the way to the end, and you get down a little ways west up this way, there's a dirt road. I can't remember the name of the road.
Whoever is responsible for June 15th was most likely out here watching. And by the way, Dawn, the name of the road is Sampson.
But you turn left into that and you'll see a bunch of no trespassing signs and all that. You follow the dirt road and it takes you all the way up on top of that hill up there, which overlooks our property. When you're up there, you can look down on our property and see our house. You're looking down on our house, and we live on a hill, so it's pretty high hill. So there's an unfinished cabin up there. This is the way TBI explained it to me. There's an unfinished cabin up there, and it rained like 2 or 3 days before Summer come up missing. So they found a footprint around an unfinished cabin, and I went up there and I looked everywhere, and I don't know what they're talking about, an unfinished cabin. I found a trailer. I found 2 trailers, and the other property I was kind of scared to go up around, but I looked everywhere.
If you come down your driveway right here,
yep.
You come up through here, you turn up towards Mary Sexton's house, that's Simpson Road. So that it dead ends, but it because of a gate, right?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay, and then it comes on down here. So
that's the road I've been up 100 times.
I had a dream. Thousands, 100,000, 1,000,000 of us standing at that gate. I don't know why, but we're just standing at the gate, strong, all lined up, just staring at that gate. From the other side of that gate. That's why I need your help.
then there was the thought that on that Saturday night that I got into town, which would have been 4 days after she went missing, is that somebody said that they found a footprint. Now, I don't know the truth about that, but they had TBI, FBI, they had some of the locals there late at night. I got into town about 11 o'clock, and they were still searching until about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, from what I understand, because they went under the assumption is that, oh hell, maybe if she was abducted, they're seeing all of this go down. They dropped her back off near the woods, and that she was now walking the woods by herself. So then they set up this good perimeter around there and just kind of worked our way more towards the house to create that funnel effect.
So what I find interesting about these two locations is this location right in between.
Those trailers carried a history, passing through the hands of names like Simpson, Arnold, and even Don's own stepsister, Mary Sexton. At the time Summer disappeared, it was an Arnold man who owned the 2 trailers Don spoke of. And oddly enough, at the same time Summer went missing, the map shows an unfinished cabin. It also shows what seems to be a dark blue truck with tinted windows at the 2 trailers. Was this Arnold somehow connected to Chad Arnold, who was located near the intersection of the lines of travel when Summer went missing? This would be considered an anomaly. In criminal intelligence, an anomaly is a pattern, event, or data point that deviates significantly from what is considered normal or expected. These inconsistencies often indicate potential criminal behavior, security risks, or threats that warrant further investigation.
This is the old Arnold's property, the old Simpson Cemetery, and this was vacant on June 15th of 2021. It was for sale. It was listed on a bunch of sites, and then it was purchased by a David and Christy Brown.
Well, Dave. Dave, you probably, I don't know, Dave. My sister died, and she was married to a Brown. Dave did a lot of pot and cocaine, and stuff.
No immediate relation to Jody Sue Brown or Peggy Sue Travis or any of them. No relation there, like immediate. I just want to put that out there before rumors start going. But it was the Arnold's property prior to April of 2022. Now it's 2 salvaged mobile homes, like stacked next to each other. And let's see if I can get it to rotate a little bit and see if we can look at it a little better. It's like 2 old mobile homes. Now, the owners of this property, the owner was Michael Arnold, and he did not live there. He didn't live there. He didn't live around there. He wasn't living in that area at all. He has a few different addresses in like other states, and then he was in Tennessee, but like hours away in Tennessee. So he wasn't here at this property. This property sat empty and was for sale. And it was kind of condemned and was salvaged out. But the fact that the Simpson Cemetery, the old Simpson Cemetery, still sits here, and when you pull it up on CAD maps and tax assessor maps, it belongs to Hawkins County. It does not belong to a person. It belongs to the county, and they are responsible for maintaining it. You can kind of see little gravestones still there in pictures. But what brought attention to this for me is the fact that Roy Simpson worked for the city department. He worked in the Parks Service. He had retired from them. This is his family's property. I wonder if he was the one maintaining it, because they're required to maintain it. I wonder if that was something he did, was maintain this property right here.
How did he know that that person or whoever was at the graveyard and, that truck and all that? They were all together as a clan.
Exactly.
Him and Fred Hill and Cotton and Chad Arnold and all of them was together on the same exact fucking day. Now come on. Don't sit here and tell me that Andy doesn't know something. Andy knows something. So does his wife. So does Candace. So does Dawn. So does Chad. So does Cotton did. That's why Cotton lost his wife.
The thing that drew Marlena out from the shadows was a discussion about where Summer's body might have been hidden. And it was the real Andy Bernard, who in some chat recently said, I think Summer, is in Morrison Cemetery. I'm not scared to say it. Morrison Cemetery is the cemetery just across the road from Ben Hill Road. Somebody died, I think it was on the 11th of June. They weren't laying to rest until the 18th. So you've got 3 days there where gravediggers, and Chad Arnold is a gravedigger.
Chad, known as a gravedigger at the cemetery directly across from the Wells property, was often seen creeping through the area at night. He was the type to never have had a cell phone and entirely disconnected from social media. He also had an uncanny ability to break wild horses, a brutal skill that only added to the local lore surrounding him.
Ron, do you know who a Chad Arnold is?
Yes, I do. Chad Arnold was at Fred Hill's house when Candace was looking for Summer. She drove back in the hauler to Fred Hill's house, and Chad Arnold was hanging out back there. I've been to Chad Arnold's house before, and he had all kinds of people hanging out in his
Was he a cracky?
Is he what?
Was he like a meth head like Fred Hill?
Yes. Chad Arnold loves his meth. Yes, he does. I went to visit him. Chad Arnold trains horses, so he's really good at that. But he loves his methamphetamine.
You think Chad, Cotton, and Fred took Summer? Somebody just asked me that question.
I have no clue. But it's just like Dudley. That weekend, I guess he went and done dope all weekend. He showed up Monday, and I guess I fired him Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember. I can't deal with that stuff.
Candace says she saw Chad Arnold up there at your driveway. Chad Arnold wasn't there when you guys were there?
No. Chad come in while we was gone.
Okay, do you know if anyone else showed up when you guys were gone?
Not that I know of.
So Chad Arnold did show up while you were gone, and when you guys got home, was Chad Arnold still there?
No.
So he had left. How did you know he was there then? Just what you heard from Candace, or did Fred talk to him?
He came the next day. He came in the next day.
Oh, and he said he had been up there?
Yeah, and that he seen Candace at the bottom of the driveway.
The prints aren't random. They align with each other, forming a direct path or direction in a certain line of travel. The same straight line as the scent path, but not parallel to it, intersecting with it. That alignment matters. When scent and prints agree in general bearing but are offset geographically, it often indicates multiple movements. One line could represent where the child physically walked at some point, while the other might reflect where scent drifted or where the child was carried or transported. But what really stands out is the intersection point. The red directional lines cross near the certain property we spoke about earlier. In criminal intelligence mapping, an intersection like this is rarely coincidental. It marks a convergence point, where two independent data streams, sent from one direction, prints from another, collide. That's where investigators would expect either a handoff, a vehicle staging, or an encounter. In other words, the intersection is the kind of X marks the spot location that intelligence analysts circle, because it represents a higher probability of offender activity or victim transition.
So I showed on my last video how Francis Dykes had put out a protection order in 2020 against Chad Arnold, who was her husband. So as you see, it's not very far, right down the road. This is the property where Francis Dykes and Chad Arnold were living. And then she put a protection order out and kicked him out. And then he also violated the order. As you can see, I think it was in February of 2021, he had violated the order. So just 3 months prior to Summer going missing, he was in this area enough to violate the order. A lot of times women will put orders out, they get back together again, they fight again, she calls, she uses the protection order against the husband to get him kicked out again. You know, that's something that happens. But the second thing that I noticed was Cindy Simpson and Roy Simpson were also having problems. They actually ended up separating in November, but in August, his own sister and brother-in-law had filed a protection order against him. So that was the Brenda and Randy Wallen filed a protection order against Roy Simpson. And Cindy was separating from him. Casey, his son, it shows them still living in the house. So I'm not sure where Roy Simpson went. I kind of wonder if Roy and Chad were both kind of like hopping around couch surfing places because they were both having problems with their women and wives. But I thought it was kind of interesting, the fact that there is a family property empty up here. I wonder if they were staying in it. Because there was a place right here that could have been, they could have stayed in it, and maybe they were fixing it up, cleaning it up for it to be sold. But I just wanted to talk about like the map a little bit more to explain, you know, some of the stuff I was talking about, so it makes sense from the maps I'm showing with just music playing and no commentary, and then commentary with no maps. So I was going to try to put something together here for you guys that had both. And in my map here, I did, like, I really try to get some details in it. Like, this is where the bus was. It's no longer in the picture. There were 2 trucks parked right here that were like trash. They weren't like people's trucks parked there. They were just like junk piled right here. There's 2 vehicles right here. One is that conversion van and another is like an old truck. And then kind of back here behind this right here, there's an old swing set. If Candace was even there. I kind of feel like she left the hill. I don't know if you watched some of my prior videos, but I feel like when she told the boys, I'll be back, watch your sister, she left and went somewhere.
Being around for 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek to be the first residence on your right, reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
You say when you got the original call that mom went on a run and when she came back that daughter was gone?
Yes, where that's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
Careful. All other units tied up on this issue, correct?
For the complainant or the suspect?
I think she was doing a favor for Jody, and that's why Jody was waiting at the end of the driveway, and that's why she said I'm sorry, because she felt bad because she's the reason Candace left Summer home with the other boys.
I hear a car coming down Candace's driveway, and as I hear her getting closer, I come back out the creek and jump up out of, and then into the roadway. And when she pulls up, she's on the phone with Donnie. But the first thing I said is I heard her scream, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And then I realized Donnie's on the phone. And Donnie says something like, so you're telling me somebody's taking my baby girl or something? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I didn't put it together, enough time, like, right?
Trying to piece it together. Trying to piece together personalities, maps, scents, timeline, like what could have happened. And like Candace's timeline could like be kind of accurate. It wouldn't take that much just to like walk out, walk down, get in a creek, like within 20 minutes. And if Candace starts looking in 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes, she's probably not looking all the way down at Fred. She's looking like right around the house here. She sends the boys out. I mean, they kind of made it known that they went this way. They went down by the road, checking the shed, checking the creeks over here. This is where they went. On this side, back in here. But I think she went this way. And that's why they didn't see her. And by the time Candace really gets nervous and worried, she's already at Fred's. She's already there with those guys. Something's going on with them. They get kind of nervous, I think. And then they take her. I think they first take her over here, and they realize people are starting to look for her, and then they take her up here onto the hill where they know where this cabin area is, and they know it's there because that was the Sexton's property, who is also a family member of Roy Simpson. So, and this all on the other side of it down here is his family's property. So like this is, he like knows this. His whole family grew up in this area out here. Like this is his family's off. The road is Simpson Road. There's a reason it's called Simpson Road. This cemetery is a family cemetery. His great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and stuff are probably buried in this cemetery right here. I think they thought about letting her out, but I think something went too far that they couldn't anymore. They did stop like right here at the end of the road. What I thought was kind of weird too was there was a report of a truck parked on the edge of the road here with nobody in it around that time too. Then they left. I don't know really where they went. I don't know if they would have went right home. Maybe they went to the Laurel Run Park area. It's only like 20 minute drive. But I don't think he would have went home. I think because he was having problems with his wife, I think they would have pulled in and they would have drove up here. It's up here. Or he could have even been camping at this park too, because he was having problems with the wife and his brother-in-law and sister around this time. So I actually think the house itself has nothing to do with it, because he would have never went back to that house because of the people that were around. Pulled up a map and I was looking at Fred Hill's house and the Roy Cotton Simpson's house. the Jamie's Auto Disposal. And then also I looked up where Chad Arnold was living. And Chad Arnold was living at 152 California Road in Churchill, which is also on that path going to the disposal yard. So I thought it was kind of interesting if he was loading and driving 6 or 7 times back and forth that day loading vehicles, that he could have met up with Roy Simpson or Chad Arnold that day, and they ended up riding back with them and helping with more vehicles.
What do you think about maybe, oh my gosh, would Chad Arnold also be involved in this? If he was out there with Ron or Roy Simpson, and maybe Fred just named Roy because
The
he's
dead one.
The
Right.
dead one who can't talk.
Yeah, because he said they. He said they. He didn't say him. He said they.
If you connect all of this together, the Wells home as the point of origin, the scent progression, the offset footprints being intersecting lines, and the one point in the middle where the paths collide. At the abandoned cabin, it suggests movement didn't scatter but funneled toward a particular zone. That's the kind of pattern that tells you this wasn't random wandering. It was guided, influenced, or intercepted. Was this spot on the map some sort of meeting spot at an abandoned location? What do you think? Criminal intelligence doesn't just hunt people. It hunts truth in the patterns they leave behind. And the truth is this: until Summer is found, suspects are nothing more than distractions. The only thing that matters, the only signal worth following, is Summer. And we are the focus to the distractions. No matter how hard you try to cover the truth, we will work 1,000,000 times harder, relentlessly. Some of you can chase shadows if you want to, but we are here to bring Summer into the light, and we will not stop until Summer is found.
I can say that we've been following up on information that we've received in the last few months. So it is very much an active investigation, and we will not give up.
We fucking do. If not for those pesky meddling kids.
Back to what I do. Catfish, Billy, baby, hello, how are you? Yo, Power 9, rappers like a power line, fell into a swimming pool. I think I got the whole crew. Ooh, let me know what y'all wanna do. I bought a 30-pack of Creek water, baby boo. Not a 99, not a 99.99, not mine, I got 100 proof.
They're gonna be sorry they were ever born. Who? All of them.
Let's go. Yeah, make it look easy. Hey, stand up guy, boy, I'm 10 toes. Big body pull up in a Range Rover. I can change the whole game when I say so. I pull up, shut it down, yeah, they know. Running this game ain't a thing for me. I never switched up, no change in me. The only thing changing this season, you go against me, then you know that you tweaking, okay? Cause baby, I'm him, I be on 10. Two-stepping in the party, I do not dance. Watch how I move, make it look easy. Counting up wins, that's part of the plan. Blackmail, taking up my haters a CC. That can't fail, I'm not like the reason we repeat. I'm knee deep, need a dub, best that you seek me. I'm too sick, yeah, I know I make it look easy. Yeah, tell them don't try to play me. Yeah, I'm drippy on the dirty. They can never count me out, I know. They can never count me out, I know I make it look easy. Make it look easy. I know I make it look easy. Make it look easy. I know I make it look easy. Too smooth, I make it look easy. I know we make it look easy. Make it look.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
Break down my walls, but I will rise again. 'Cause I stand tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes and stay silent since they try to take me down with their violence?